The unit, hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. The unit my group and I created was called Learning to Dream. And today I'm going to teach you how to create a unit that will help reluctant readers and learners become more engaged in literature and writing. That basically I want to give props to Courtney Jones, Amber Tevitt, Deborah G. Vasquez, and Elizabeth Gray. They were all part of this project. What is the first step to creating a unit is probably one of the things every teacher asks. I mean, creating a whole unit by yourself is somewhat daunting. But first you have to ask, what strategy am I wanting my students to grasp? Is there something, am I wanting them to write in a different way? What do I want them to gain from this unit? Also, what purpose did the author have when writing this book that I'm teaching them? I always have to say, why did this author want these words to be sprayed across the world? Next, I ask, what text would most likely reach reluctant readers and writers? Again, whenever you have a reluctant reader or writer, you don't want to give them something that is daunting and not engaging. They have to be able to learn how to relate to literature and have it be meaningful. How can I get the student to see the relation of the text to their own lives? And that is the key, I think, to truly developing higher level of thinking skills. If students are unable to see themselves in the text or relate and create empathy for the characters in the story, they will never truly be able to engage in a book. Okay, so how to create a unit which builds understanding. I mean, I know so many books that I love, that I want to teach. I think, when I read this book, it blew me away. But that's not necessarily the same book that's going to engage my students. So, understanding the traditions of the students I'm teaching draws students into a world unlike anything they've ever known. And that's whenever I have found reading and writing to be most engaging, is when I've been able to go, whoa, this is a new idea for me, right? That's the reason, that's the purpose an author actually writes something down. Teaching students how to grasp the imagery of a story, that is one of the things that I feel like is lacking most in my students' writing. They want to write, they want to just tell us about what happened or tell us a story, right? But we want them to show us the story. We want them to use vivid images and bring us into this movie that's in their head. Once they have grasped that, their language becomes more rich and meaningful. Okay, so studying the literary elements helps them to see how certain words and techniques make the story come alive in their minds. Okay, if they understand why is an author using a metaphor instead of just telling us what happened. Once they are able to see that, then they are able to do that themselves. Okay, writing their own narrative gives a voice that can be read, listened to, shared, and made permanent. Okay, so why did we choose Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson? It has intensely rich language. I mean, when I read the words on the pages, I could feel her feelings. I could see the images of her childhood. I could taste her grandmother's pies. That is what intense writing is about. Each event could be explored alone, and that's one of the great things about a memoir, which I'm about to talk about. Because she wrote little vignettes, it wasn't something that the student had to follow a bunch of dates and events and people. Again, every chapter was a standalone. Also, civil rights background events. It created there was all that we were talking about civil rights, excuse me. And a lot of students are thinking, well, those people back then, did it really affect them? But this is stories of real people that are in the background of these stories that they read about in history. So it enriches that for them. Also, it's written by an African American who lives in the U.S. So it does relate to the overall unit. Also, it's award-winning text. It's won many awards. And great mentor text for writing. One of the things that I have learned this semester is the beauty of using picture books for even college students, which is what I teach. Because, for instance, I teach Letters from Birmingham Jail by Martin Luther King Jr. And this book right here is beautiful. I mean, I can see the eyes of Martin Luther King Jr. and his joy that radiates love, not hate. And the students, even in college, even adults, even me at my age, I need to see an image, right? It makes the story become alive. This is a real person. These are not just words on a page. This is a person with a heart and a soul and a passion for change. So Martin's big words. And also one of the things it teaches is to grab the big main insights that come from a writing. You are as good as anyone is one of the things. It kind of goes through the history of Martin Luther King Jr. as a child and the way how he became the person he was. Then it goes into sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. And then again, that is what Martin Luther King Jr. was mostly about. He wasn't just satisfied with segregation, with whites-only restaurants and his child not being able to go to the new amusement park. He wanted everyone to have equal rights. So again, you see these images and you see these pictures. It's not just for children. These pictures, these images that are in children's book create empathy, they create understanding, they create a purpose for the author's words. Okay, so what does this unit accomplish? Okay, that is the main thing. Like I said before, it helps students discover themes. Basically, we are teaching students how to find the main literary themes in a text, and also picture books help students create meaning.